Today, we champion the black men who've taken the reins of their lives, leading the way in family, finance, and purpose, their own unique FFB. We're here to uplift and to highlight the black men whose personal brands shine, illuminating the best within our community. The essence of our community lies in the power of dependability, of being useful, and consistently exuding confidence, intelligence, and assertiveness. That's the man we're here to celebrate. A man who truly embodies a meaningful, accountable nature. A true man. But our praise doesn't stop there. We raise our hats to the black women whose public and private actions beautifully mirror the strength and grace of our black men. Together, they weave the vibrant fabric of our community. Now let's celebrate the mantra that binds us. Dare to be bold, not silent. That's our rallying cry here at the Real Bravado Network. We're all about character, personal growth, and fostering a culture of accountability, all framed by this bold mantra. Our name, Real Bravado, represents our spirit, the essence of being truly bold. And that's our mission for every live stream, every conversation we have. So, let's dive into this journey together. And remember, we're here to be real, to be bold. Let's start this conversation, folks. Welcome, everyone, to our exciting live stream here on RBN, your trusted Real Bravado Network. This is your moment, your space. This is Have the Conversation. And every black man, start your day with 3 words. I'm a king.
I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king, cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king, and I will never knew. Plotting for my fall, you getting hanged for treason. I don't aim to please.
See, one of the things that I've learned throughout marriage, I've been married 38 years. December the 1st will be 39 years to the same person. And one of the things that she's had to learn is that structure and order comes up under the supremacy of God's word. And one of the reasons why women don't tend to trust male leadership more than they trust themselves is basically because, for the most part, in Black history will teach you that the strongest image to any woman is, in their eyes, another Black female in the Black community. That is always, you've talked about it on your stream on several occasions. The substance that have rolled from your streams have caused some to be suspect, some to be infuriated, and others to be adaptable to what is both reason and logic. But yet still some run because they feel it's going to take away from them being the authority in the home, when in fact they're really actually being the rebellious one in the home, even when the man fails, if they're trying to lead rather than follow.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that they don't have a voice. That just means that there's order and there's rule in the house. I would say this here before you move forward, TJ. It's interesting when I hear women on social media, on platforms such as what you are holding, which I think is an awesome platform tonight, and your guest is speaking so eloquently. women tend to have an issue when it comes to who they are. And so they are, if you notice, identifying themselves, and you guys have heard this and seen the quotes across social media, calling themselves queens. Now, when a man calls himself a king, he's also putting himself in a place of leadership where he has to represent a man in a certain way. There's a criteria that comes with that where he can't juxtapose what he says his objective really is about, and that's leading the family or relationship or woman. The woman says she's a queen, but historically, when a woman has been a queen, she is a queen to a king. When a king has a relationship with any person, especially with his own woman, he rules over her. He doesn't ask her for direction. He rules, and she surrenders to that rule without any feedback that's negative. But yet you see women calling themselves queen without a king.
Yeah, Mr. Victor, I'm gonna get you in just a second. I remember having a conversation with my ex-wife, Pastor Rush, and I end up telling the people. I tell people this all the time about my failed marriage. I said my marriage failed because of me. Now she may have done the walking, but she ran my marriage. She ran the marriage. She ran every bit of it. Every major decision that was made, every turn that we made in that marriage was based on her decision. And I did not have the backbone to stand up to these bad decisions that I knew were bad decisions. And every decision that was made, the outcome was worse.
I was the same way.
Was bad. Every decision was bad. I mean, every decision put us in a worse situation. And guess who had to dig us out of that worst situation? But the absolute rejection of any counsel, but with me not understanding. I was supposed to be receiving counsel and making the decision, not giving her counsel and having her make the decision. Because those decisions led that marriage off the rails, led us into financial ruin, led me frustrated, led her more out of control, more out of bounds. Look, Pastor, let me tell you something. I hate to admit this. Oh, my wife went on a singles retreat with the church. We're not talking about like facilitating a class. She wanted to go because her girlfriends at church were going. Yeah. Hold on.
Was that Stella Got a Groove Band?
That's what you heard there. Yeah, that's how bad it was. Yeah. Oh, this was subsequently too. That was the incident that got me. How you get kicked out of a church? Well, I did it. I got kicked out of a church because the first thing, what I went to the pastor, and that was the end of that for me. Like, you know what I mean? Who you how do you allow? And then even looking back, confronting him, talking about how do you allow this? No, I allowed that. Because when she came back, her key shouldn't have worked in that door no more.
There were no consequences for her actions, for her behavior.
No. I married a woman that was older than me. I was 28 when I got married. She was a decade or more older than me.
I did the same thing, about a 10-year gap in my first marriage.
And she took advantage of the naiveness that I had in that regard. You know what I mean? And I had a very idealistic way of thinking about marriage because guess who I was raised by?
Your mother.
My grandmother. Happy wife, happy life. I thought that was a real thing. Yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah, you supposed to sacrifice your happiness for hers. It don't really work that way.
Yeah, look, the Uncle Junior was like, "Why did the church let her go, man? I don't need money. What do you mean? Why they let her go? Have you not looked at the current makeup of the black church? It's the pastor and a whole flock of women.
Them tithes and offerings.
Well, I guess.
Did I step on your toes with that one, Pastor?
No, no, my toes are good. I think there has to be some biblical reference that would impart logic and insight into those phraseologies that were just used. I think if the church that we are talking about that can cause harm to someone's feet is a non-biblical functioning entity, and that it is a organization more than a relationship building environment, then yes, it should hurt my feet. But you know me better than that. We don't function from a secular perspective as if we're running a corporation with a bunch of CEOs. What the church is, biblically speaking, is a entity that functions with a federal head that gives wisdom and knowledge from a vertical perspective to the horizontal followers of the Messiah. And in that setting, there is a gospel presentation that reinforces what we are discussing tonight. When a man who's outside of a marriage has control over a woman, that woman is automatically in error. So right away, you see that church is in error because the pastor has more influence over the wife than her husband. In fact, I could turn there, but I won't because of the sake of time. But the Apostle Paul says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 18, he says to the woman that she is to submit to her own husband as befitting unto the Lord. And let me just say this as I'm on my soliloquy here, that woman has a responsibility to respond to her husband, not on the basis of his faithfulness, not on the basis of his sinfulness, not on the basis of how he provides even for herself. She has a responsibility to respond to her husband faithfully and with a submissive attitude based on her relationship with the Savior that will reflect through her relationship with her husband, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Mr. Victor Van Zandt, I know you've been waiting patiently.
Woo. What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you. Welcome to the Real Bravado Network, brother.
What's going on, man? I got an invite from Uncle Junior himself, and I was checking out the pod, and a lot of the conversation that's already been had is kind of been my been in my wheelhouse like the last few years or whatever. A little bit about myself. I'm an author. A couple of books right here. The Code, and it's a blueprint to solidarity among reasonable Black people. So it's meant to create a conversation where we can, you know what I'm saying, actually share experiences and not overtalk each other, you know, and actually have dialogue. Because a lot of our words are really, you know, like all synonyms, you know, like you may say bless, you may say another word that compares to that. And generally speaking, we all want the same outcomes. So, you know, I just want to be a part of the conversation and see where I can chime in, where it makes sense. And one of the parts that you guys were talking about is, you know, like the act of submission in general, right? And the pastor's already spoken on it from a biblical context. I'm going to talk about it from more of a structural context because these are still the components that go into it. A lot of times when we talk about submission, we don't know how to frame the conversation to get the conversation, to get the outcome that we want. And a lot of times when they hear submit, it goes right into a primal, you want me to do something that shows obedience to you in a forceful way. When this, yeah, exactly. They think of it in an extreme, okay? And and the reason they think in extremes like that is because they think from their feelings. Okay. So when you think from feelings in a place of desperation, you're going to come out with fear in most cases. Okay. So put a pin in that part right there. Men are not afforded the opportunity to live in fear and make decisions in fear. So we have to come up with.
Say that again. Say that one more. That went by too fast. Way too fast.
Yeah.
So one more time. Men are not afforded to do what?
Men are not afforded the opportunity to make decisions out of fear.
And why is that?
Because everybody dies when we make the wrong decision. Because you know what I'm saying? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and we're talking about men that fit the behavior that I'm describing, because all men don't fit the same behavior, just like all women don't fit the same behavior, you know. But generally speaking, we teach discipline, we teach code, we teach ethics, and you don't see men ending up in situations where they have to go be corrected, like in prison, and women run the prison. They work there, they part of the prison demographic, but you got to have some credible institutional control, and you don't have credible institutional control without men involved. Number one. The other part is, when have you seen women work together, and what have they ever accomplished together? You know, when have you seen women be corrected by other women? Women don't even submit to each other. If you take men out of all of their problems, look at how they communicate with each other. Let that marinate for a second. Now, they reinforce their communication with each other. In most cases, it's usually beef between mothers, daughters, nieces, aunts, and everybody else in the family. You don't see uncles and nephews boxing each other, you know what I'm saying, when they hanging out. All right.
Not normally. Anytime
you got any beef in the family, if you do the investigation and start with the women, you'll probably end with the women. Okay.
Yep.
So and
I told my grandmother that she has 4 girls and 3 boys, and my mother and my aunts are always at war with each other, like openly. They could be at church. They could be at church.
It don't matter.
Grocery store. They warring. When there's disagreement amongst the boys, my uncles, myself and my uncles, when there's disagreement amongst us, you know what we do?
Talk it out.
Box it out. That, but more likely than not, when there's severe disagreement, space is given.
Space.
You know what, dude? I'll talk to you in a couple weeks or a month, or maybe next year if we make it that long. That's what we do. We're not going to sit out there in general. We're not going to sit out there because men understand something real important.
Do we ever look at what we do to women, though?
Hold on a second.
I'm going to get to that.
Do we ever look at what we do to women? I hear everything is on us, but it's not everything we have done to women over the years.
It's about certain men that fit the behavior. See, if we narrow it down to behavior, if you don't fit the behavior, it is not on us.
We ain't really getting to the core of the problem. Yes, women want that man, but why do they want that man? Because what we did to them before they even came up, we picking up pieces to the puzzle.
We did nothing.
What do we do? What do we do to them?
Those are choices.
What do we do?
All of this comes down to outcomes.
So tell me this. Is it about say we pick a woman. We don't know what she's been through in the past.
What does that got to do with me?
How we gonna ask her to submit? What we gonna give her to submit to? If we can't show
what did I just say earlier? We have a problem with framing the conversation about submission and then not understanding. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. Like, here's the thing. The conversation that we talking about when it comes down to submission, it's about making choices. It's about picking the battles that are worth fighting to win for the overall good. It's a difference between being right and being righteous. Okay.
For me,
like everybody got to accept everybody has to accept the decisions that they've made up to a certain point. Like, yeah, you don't know what she's been through. Hell, everybody don't know what anybody been through. You know what I'm saying? So now we got a clean slate, and now you got to deal with your feelings in a responsible communication between your heart and your mind. You don't.
Because
Nobody else is responsible for anybody else's trauma. Nobody else is responsible for your triggers or your trauma but you. You go get therapy. If we don't know what she been through, she need to fix that first. That's choices. Men always have to take everybody else's responsibility for how they feel and how they was raised. We just sit up here talking about how women in general communicate with each other. Look at how they reinforce their communication with each other, and then look what we're trying to make it make sense. Hold up. I need to make this point. Because it's gonna get lost in translation. See, you have to look at how they communicate with us, because it's based on how they communicate with each other. Then they think that communication translates to what we understand, and then we never hit each other in the right spots. Now it looks like we trying to be better than them and they trying to be better than us. And the reality is we need to find a better way to be complementary. All of the arguing and stopping and interrupting people from finishing their conversations are going to keep people from missing the point. And if you look at that behavior, who does that more, men or women?
The reality is women have seen how we treated them since the time they was born to the time up to now. And we supposed to be, oh, okay. No, they have been going through these things and seeing these things, and they just ain't up for it no more. They're not down with it no more. They'd rather have you to be the side man. It's a deal. It's not even a relationship anymore. It's a partnership.
You can only have the relationship that you can afford.
That's it. They only want you for this, and that. They want to be treated like a queen, but they want to be the king too, and they can't get both. And what we doing is trying to make them submit when they're not going to submit. Why should they submit?
Hezekiah. Well, hold on, Hezekiah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the question. I hear everything you're saying, but the question comes back to this: why should Hezekiah Morris have to deal with what some other fella that she allows some other fella to do? Why would you have to deal with that?
Because I chose to take up that responsibility.
So you chose to be responsible for what another man did to her.
It depends on what I'm looking at it for, or what I'm going in it for. If I'm just going in it for one thing, I'm a play it how it needs to be played.
Well, we talking about marriages.
Everybody can have different kind. You kind of see what I'm saying, Pat? We can have different kind of ways that we're going about. If we think, okay, well, we just want to be with this woman for this amount of time, we're going to do whatever. We don't care what she done been through. Or if we really want to be with that person, we're going to be patient with that woman. We're not going to worry about, oh, she needs to submit, she needs to do that. We're going to stick it out. We're going to help each other get through what we got to get through together. But today's world is all like it's full of games. A woman can be more independent. They can make more money without being with a man at home nowadays.
Hezekiah, let me stop you right there. I hear the notion that, the talk was about women can make more money. Let me tell you something. According to Hezekiah, you've been around me a long time. According to blackdemographics.com, the average black woman, that includes women with degrees, earn $36,000 a year. Black men
earn my Instagram page. Go to my Instagram page, see how much they make.
Huh? What did you say?
Go to my Instagram page and see how much they make. That's statistics.
So can I jump in right here? Okay, like right here, this whole conversation, I'm watching it. We're having an objective conversation. Hezekiah, you're having a subjective conversation. You're speaking from personal experience. So objectively, being in general, meaning like take you out of it. Think about what I'm saying. Okay, when you talk about submission, you can only speak on it based on your own personal experience in life.
Anecdotal
experience. Anecdotal experience is an exception. It is not the rule. Generally speaking, the men on this panel, we've had a whole different conversation about this same subject, and now it's a different conversation because of your personal experience. So what I'm demonstrating right now is objective versus subjective.
It's not my personal experience. It's what I'm seeing, because you're seeing it from a different perspective, and I'm seeing it for what I see every day.
Yeah, you just said it again. I mean, you're making my point.
Hezekiah, you said that the things that that men or black men have done to women, what exactly have we done to them over the past 10, 20, 30 years?
To stay at home over the years, to keep them in the house, keep them hidden from doing things to make them feel a part of.
Keep them in the house. Hezekiah, black women have been the head of the house since 1970. What are you talking about?
Have they really been? Everything
yes,
they
really have been. They have really been the head of the house, Hezekiah. Black women are still the head of the house right now.
For the most part, yeah, because there's no man in the house.
The government made sure they took the man out the house. That was our number one priority. Take the man out the house.
That was a decision we made. Stop that. We need to stop this. My grandfather's generation, I call it the civil rights generation, who started accepting this garbage from them. That was a decision that generation made.
They did.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear nothing about. You weren't on the stream last week, Hezekiah, when I talked about conspiracy or economics. The conspiracy is the government came in and took us out of the house and separated us. That's not it. They don't. The government ain't got no. They don't benefit from keeping us down. They do benefit from keeping us apart. Those are very two different sets of things.
Yeah, because even during slavery, we were still married at what 80% rate.
Yes,
during civil rights era,
up until 1965, 80%.
And now they're the most educated and also the most evicted. So they going to school to learn how to get put out. Like, you know what I'm saying? At some point, we got to respect somebody's outcomes. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to talk about everything they've been through as if they make better decisions than we do, then we'd have to listen, because the person with the least amount of resources can't make the rules.
I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king cause I do what I want and what I need. I don't need you to nobody, I'm busy doing my thing. Mess with me and you could get forgotten, just let it sing. I don't play, I just win every day, I get it in. I'm a king and I will never knew. Plotting for my fall, you getting hanged for treason. I